Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I am the Twisted Jedi, and this video has been highly requested by a lot of you guys, and I finally got around to making it. This video is going to be another hero guide for none other than Luke Skywalker. Now, this video is going to give you a bunch of tips and tricks for Luke, as well as the best maps to use him on, and the best star cards to use for Galactic Assault, and also Heroes vs Villains. This video has been asked for a few times on the channel before, and this morning while I was live streaming, I had a really killer run with Luke, which is the gameplay that you're going to be seeing on screen, and it was really awesome, and a bunch of people in the chat asked me to do a video on how to dominate with him, so here it is. If you are new to the channel and this video helps you out after watching, please be sure to subscribe and share it around to help everyone else out in the game as well. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the best maps to use Luke in Galactic Assault and Heroes vs Villains. First off, Galactic Assault, and the #1 map I picked for Luke is Endor. Luke can be an absolute beast on this map, as you can see on screen, when he is used right, and almost all of my high kill streaks with Luke have been on this map. Endor provides a good amount of cover, and at night when Luke's lightsaber isn't lit at the time he is sprinting, it makes him really hard to see when you're playing as a stormtrooper. By the time they spot you, you'll either have enough time to get out of the way of their firing line, or they'll already be dead from your lightsaber, so Endor is definitely the best Galactic Assault map for him. Sticking with the Endor theme, you want to use Luke on maps that have a lot of cover. Yavin 4 is another good one because in the first two phases, there's plenty of trees and walls and things you can dash in and out of and hide behind, and get in and out to get kills and then retreat before losing too much health. Now I know the third phase on Yavin is really wide open and probably not the best time to be using Luke, but if you can survive through that phase and onto the fourth, then he is really good inside the base as well. As for the Heroes vs Villains maps that you want to use Luke on, they're pretty obvious. Any map you can push enemies off the edges is an absolute must use for Luke. His force push ability is the funniest thing to send enemies flying off the map. So just to name off a few good ones, there's Naboo, Kashyyyk, and the newly added Bespin maps, which are all really great for Luke's playstyle and perfectly suited to his force push. Now I'm going to get into some tips for Luke, and I do have a few of them. First off, survivability is key. Luke isn't a character that you can just charge into a room full of enemies and clear them all out in a few seconds. I mean, come on guys, this isn't Battlefront 2015 anymore. Luke is no longer OP, you have to be careful. But Luke is a very strategic hero. You need to use the cover and the darkness of night on Endor to surprise enemies that you're attacking them. It takes patience to dominate with Luke, you can't just go charging in there. The next tip is to use his dodge function whenever being fired at. I see too many people not doing this, and it's possibly the best way to stay alive. You don't really need to dodge forward unless you're chasing an enemy who's running away, but dashing side to side can really put off your opponent's aim, especially if you're running right towards them and looking to close the gap. On top of this, his rush ability can be another good way to close that gap or get past an enemy before they get too many hits on you. So definitely don't neglect this either. The next tip that not too many people know about is that Luke can boost his jump even higher by using force push. What you want to do is jump up in the air, and at the apex of his jump, aim towards the ground and use force push, which will propel him further upwards. It's a great way for getting onto ledges that are slightly too high for his regular jump, and if you need to escape an enemy and get over something that they can't shoot at, then that's definitely the way to do it. Next up, another tip for surviving as Luke is to remember to use his block ability. I know this may seem like an obvious one, but too many people neglect it and end up getting wiped out almost every single time. If you want good kill streaks as Luke, then you're going to have to make an effort to block sometimes, especially if you get hit with a flash grenade. I know personally I play the Officer a lot, and the SE-44C with rapid fire as well as the Blurg can really take out heroes quickly. So if you're just running towards an enemy and not blocking, they're gonna take you out pretty quickly, so make sure to use that block. The last tip I'm going to give you is lightsaber combat. If you can master lightsaber combat, then you will become extremely difficult to kill one-on-one against another lightsaber hero. For example, Darth Vader has a lot more health as well as damage output, and when his focused rage becomes active, both of those things then get an additional boost, which would normally make him impossible for Luke to defeat. But if you have good lightsaber combat, you can still win. Most lightsaber users spam the attack button. So block their first attack, then get 1 or 2 attacks in, then block again and get another 1 or 2 attacks in, and just rinse and repeat this until all their health is gone. If they keep spamming the attack button at you, then it will be over pretty quickly and you'll come out on top. It may be slow, but it's definitely extremely effective. So those are a few tips that I use when playing as Luke. Now let's get into his star cards. Firstly, for heroes vs villains. So I've decided to switch it up a little bit in this video and do the heroes vs villains cards first because it's quick and easy, and then I can focus more time on Galactic Assault. Now in HVV, most of the time you want to use Luke when you're on a map that you can push enemies off the edge. So obviously we want to play to those strengths. The first 2 cards you'll attach are Extended Push Reach and Stronger Push. These 2 cards allow for a bigger push area and a further knockback, and trust me, it's super satisfying sending enemies flying out of bounds, and the Stronger Push at epic level doubles the distance it sends your opponent, which is absolutely crazy. You can literally launch people off maps. It is so funny to do, it's so funny to see it happen, and these cards are going to help you do it. Now the third card you want to use can be one of 2. Strong Repulse can give Luke's repulse attack up to a 30% bigger radius at the epic level, or you can use Rush Immunity for less damage for 3 seconds after using it. Both are good, however it depends on your playstyle and who you're going up against. Most of the time I end up using Rush Immunity just because I like to have a little bit extra defense, especially when taking on someone like Vader. Now if you aren't on a map with edges, I suggest stacking Jedi Reflexes with Rush Immunity for a lot of defensive help, just because Luke is often outmatched for damage output when going up against people like Vader or Maul. And for the last card, I tend to use the Extended Push Reach again, which allows me to knock enemies off balance, but still keeps them close enough at a distance to attack them right after knocking them away. Now let's move on to the cards I use for Galactic Assault, and I feel like some of these might surprise you. Obviously for good kill streaks, Luke has to be able to stay alive for a long time. The Cleansing the Darkness star card replenishes 20 health when defeating an enemy trooper, and 100 health at epic level for defeating any enemy villain. This card is key to getting long kill streaks because you're definitely going to take a fair bit of damage at certain points on the map regardless of how good you are. Secondly, we again want to use that Rush Immunity star card, which allows for less damage to be taken by Luke after using his rush attack. This card is really useful because sometimes you'll use the ability and then realize the enemy you're attacking might have a big group of people behind him and you've just jumped straight into it. So sometimes having better defense and not taking as much damage is perfect for you to either escape or have time to wipe out the enemies. Now finally, the last card I use for Galactic Assault, and again it is the Extended Push Reach. Some people say you should use Jedi Reflexes to give yourself an extra rush, but in GA, being able to knock enemies off balance at a distance really helps you when you want to close the gap and not take too much damage. A perfect example of this is if you're running and you turn a corner and a heavy has popped his sentry, but you can't go backwards because someone else is chasing you. Then you almost have to go through the heavy. But what if he's too far away to attack with the lightsaber? Well, that's when the push comes in handy. The Extended Reach gives you enough to knock the heavy back, and you can get up there and kill him before he has the chance to stand up with his weapon. It's really good in terms of turning a corner. Like I said, if you get into a little bit of trouble, you can use that force push and have them off balance for enough time to get up there and wipe them out. Also, as I mentioned earlier, Luke really isn't a hero you can just run into a full room of people with and kill a bunch of enemies and take no damage at all. He is a run and gun hero, but you also have to make use of cover and catch your enemies by surprise. If you do take a little bit of damage, be sure to let it regen and then move on to the next enemy. Now, before I finish off this video, I wanted to do something a little bit fun, and that is bring up some of the possible skins that I would really like for Battlefront 2. Now, I have made a full video on all the hero skins that I want to see in the game, so if you haven't checked that out, definitely do that, but I just wanted to bring up a couple for Luke. Now, I know his old man appearance has been talked about in the community, but there's like 10 different ways he could have appeared in The Last Jedi, so how do you choose just one? Personally, I want something different. I want more nostalgic skins for Luke, such as his Bespin outfit and also him in the X-Wing outfit. The X-Wing would be so cool, and either with or without the helmet, I definitely think it would be popular, and the Bespin one is just so classic, I think they need to add it to the game. Speaking of classic skins, we did have the Endor skins for Han and Leia announced, announced, so how about giving us Endor Luke as well? With the helmet and the green poncho, I feel as if this is another classic skin that should definitely be added to the game. Getting Endor, Leia, and Han, it wouldn't make sense to not do it for Luke as well, but I feel like they may do this as like a time challenge in the future, as it hasn't been mentioned at all around the other announced skins. Personally, I even think Dagobah Luke with the tank top on would look really cool, but I would much rather see the other ones I mentioned first. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, smash the thumbs up. If these tips helped you at all, definitely drop a comment and let me know which part of the video helped you the most, and make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for all Battlefront 2 content as soon as it's released. As always, thank you so much for watching. I am the Twisted Jedi, and may the Force be with you always.